Hey Kirk, what's
Got
up?
it. All right. Not too much. How you doing, Mitch?
I think I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Doing fine. Um, yeah, it's you know, it's I'm having a 3-day weekend this weekend, so things are good. Um, I haven't been outside yet today. I was working on my song, um, and I got it done. About an hour and a half ago. So that was good. I also listened to your song, which I liked. It was very cool.
Oh, good, thanks.
Very
Yeah, I thought
mighty,
yours sounded
triumphant
pretty good.
sounding.
Let's say again.
Thanks. It was very triumphant sounding.
Try it. Those major thirds, man.
Yeah, well, it was very powerful, and then you had some badass guitar soloing.
I don't know if I'd describe it that way, but I did have fun making it. I played it all in the Phrygian mode of the harmonic minor scale. So it sounded kind of goofy, right? Because it's like it's kind of like playing in E minor, but playing the major third and the minor second, right? So it
Okay.
sounds kind of weird Eastern psychedelic, sitar like or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I like that you had like a music theory root in for your inspiration for the song. Um, Mine was just something I woke up kind of thinking about two chords to rub together, and it doesn't sound anything like what I had in my head initially, but I was okay with that. I decided I was going to use there was a kind of a textural quality that I was going for, so I decided I was going to use MIDI, and I used my trusty MIDI keyboard over here to play the synths on GarageBand,
Oh, cool.
and that gives that's a particular kind of a sound, like as opposed to using like the Microfreak or you know um, the Volcas. Everything's very in sync when you use the GarageBand synths.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I thought the synth sounded good. Is it programmed so it's like a sequencer or something?
Uh, no, but it has like a tempo, like an automated tempo. So I just played the chords, and then it went beep, 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 it stuttered or whatever it
Oh,
did.
so it
It did kind of
arpeggiated the chords that you played.
yeah.
Oh, cool, cool. Nice. Yeah, I just used the Eurorack and I just set the timer or the BPM on my clock to 110 and then in GarageBand the song was 110 BPM and then I just hit record at the right moment. I just
Mine was 100, 110 also,
yeah,
but
it
I
was
didn't have to sync it up or anything like
oh,
that.
funny.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I just hit record at like I was just listening to the thing and then just okay, record, and then hopefully it was in sync.
That's great. I mean, you've been very successful at syncing up your Eurorack stuff with GarageBand. So yeah, good work on that.
Thanks. Yeah, could use work, but I just it was kind of funny. I needed another part for my song, and so I just turned on the synthesizer because I couldn't think of anything to play on the guitar. And then I just took what was ever on the synthesizer already. I had a sequence programmed into it, but I don't remember from what. And then I just kind of tuned the oscillator until it sounded almost in tune. Like I just turned, I don't even know what note it was. And then it kind of worked out. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to record this and then I'll just have it slowly come up in volume and then it'll kind of take over, and then it kind of worked out. So, it was totally random, to be honest.
Oh, it sounded good.
Yeah, the synth part was probably the best part of the whole thing, to be to be truthful.
Well, I don't know. Like with music, it's often hard to say like what's the most important thing because you kind of need all the things, um, to add interest. A lot of times, I mean, I was actually kind of feeling like mine was done before I added the second guitar part. Um, but I just kept going, and then I had two guitar parts that went all the way through the song pretty much.
Nice.
And I think that's probably better. It's probably better to keep um, more more elements going, just to give the listener something to be interested in.
Yeah, right. That's what the Keith Richards said, like about the Stones, like writing a good song, you just needed to have the two guitar parts intertwining. And then that was the
Yeah.
secret sauce. I
Oh
read
yeah.
I read his autobiography.
Oh, what's the name of the autobiography?
I forget, I think it's called Life, to be honest. And it's pretty thick too.
Oh, okay.
He does everything from like when he was a kid all the way up until right now. Like
Well, life was a good name for it then. Um,
I forget,
he's
maybe it's
definitely had one.
Keith Richards.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know. I
called
looked
Life.
it up,
Yeah.
but I just get a bunch of like there's like a video, or there's must be some movie on IMDb. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Keith Richards has been around a long time.
Yeah.
I was just watching that clip of him in in rehearsals with Chuck Berry, and Chuck Berry keeps telling him how to play the guitar part, and you know how like Chuck Berry, when he's exasperated, his eyes get really big, and he's just like Keith Richards does the same thing, and he's kind of like, you can tell he's like super pissed. Like, um, I don't know. Um, I don't remember why it was, but there was some reason that Chuck Berry punched Keith Richards in the face
Whoa.
uh, during that time.
Whoa. 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 That is
Oh,
not
I know what I think it's because he touched his guitar. He strummed the strings on his guitar or something like that.
wow. Yeah. Chuck, like I love me some Chuck Berry, but he is kind of like personality. It's like I've heard some other
Hmm.
things about him too. Like the story I heard is essentially like when he was just beginning and getting popular, he just it was just Chuck Berry, right? And if he went to go play a gig, right, the rule was, if you hired Chuck Berry, you had a backup band that knew his songs, and then you had a Fender Twin or some kind of Fender amp, like he said a specific amp, you just had that set up, and there was a
Hmm.
piano player, a bass player, another guitar player or something, right? And then what would happen is Chuck Berry would just pull up in his convertible Cadillac like the night of the show and just be there. Okay, let's play. And he expected the band to know the song by the opening riff. So he'd play the opening riff, and the band was supposed to just jump in and play, right? And there was no rehearsals. So, and then he didn't have a set list either. So it was just like he'd just get up there and start playing, and then obviously like people would make mistakes because they'd miss the song or they wouldn't get it. And so
Hmm.
like like, but Chuck Berry was like, hey, that's not me, man. You guys hired me. You said right. So yeah, he was a little
That's
hard
pretty
to get
awful.
along with.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard like the way that he leads the band is, if like he says, like, if I'm playing and I stomp my foot, you stop. If I'm not playing and I stomp my foot, you start playing. Like that was how you follow along with Keith or with Chuck Berry.
I mean, I love the guy. He like added, like he invented rock and roll for like the kind of rock and
Hmm.
roll I like, right? He invented it, and it's very funny because the Stones were hugely inspired by Chuck Berry, right? They heard American blues and Chuck Berry, and the Beatles too, right? You know,
Hmm.
right? So you can imagine like Chuck Berry playing with Keith Richards, like he's like, hey, whoa, I inspired you. I'm, like, I'm the guy that invented this. But then Keith Richards is like, I've been doing this for 50, 60 years, like I'm more famous than you,
Right, right.
you know?
Yeah, and if Keith Richards can't just jump in and be like a perfect backup band for Chuck Berry, then like some local guys who work for the theater, like they don't have a chance.
I know, right? I think I've seen some of those clips of Keith Richards playing with Chuck Berry. You know, they're both pretty old too at that time.
Yeah.
Keith Richards is still going. He's still old, but he's just like he's unstoppable. He's like one of those old guys that just never dies, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean um he's in good shape for doing what he does, like you're standing up, you're playing music. Um he's not running around on stage. He's not doing like like Axl Rose or whatever where he's like sprinting from one side of the stage to the other. Um but he's playing guitar and he's standing up. So, he's
Must be alive.
that's his exercise routine. Yeah, he doesn't need to be um like any more fit than he is.
Yeah, well, because if he was lying down and playing guitar, everybody would think he was dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's gonna never
Yeah,
stop
I just know I can't.
playing. He's gonna
He
be
probably doesn't. I bet he plays guitar a lot.
no, but he's never gonna stop. They're gonna put him in this coffin, and he'll be just playing guitar.
Wait, I'm not dead yet.
I'm not dead yet. Yeah, it's like the Monty Python skit. You know, I feel happy. I feel gay. I feel happy. You know, playing guitar. You know, oh, you're not fooling anybody. You'll be stone cold in a moment. Yeah, but you need like Mick Jagger to say that part, you know. Yeah, that'd be very funny.
I was
Just
talking to.
oh, go on. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I was talking to somebody about like um a recent Instagram post that I saw of the Rolling Stones, and I think it was Charlie's birthday or something like that, or he was talking about some movie that was going to be um, released that was just about Charlie, and the other Stones were all there, and they're kind of like making fun of him, but they're all really skinny, and Mick Jagger has like long brown hair, like he obviously dyes his hair, right?
Yeah,
Um, but I mean they don't age except for Charlie,
yeah. Well,
who's the
you know,
oldest one of.
we got to do that thing where we reenact all the Monty Python episodes with the Rolling Stones before they pass away, and before, but while we still got John Cleese, right?
Yeah, yeah, that would be good.
I'm gonna start a petition, maybe a Kickstarter, you know, see if we can
That.
get a couple million people behind this, you know.
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea.
If we could do all of
All right,
Monty
if you think
Python
it's
and the
a
Holy
fantastic idea, post it in the comments.
Grail. Yeah, got to get everybody behind this. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
hey, I worked on another pedal. I made a mini Phase 45.
Ooh, Phase 45. Is that an MXR pedal?
Yeah, it's like kind of a classic, like simple phase shifter. It's got one knob.
Hmm.
So unlike the doppelganger that has like what is this, like six knobs, five switches, and two foot switches, right? This is like the opposite. It's like one knob and a foot switch, you know. The funny thing is this is a four-stage phase shifter, and this is a two-stage phase shifter, actually. It's two stages. And this one is like it's like two-stage phase shifters. So there's four stages, but the two stages are divided, and there's a knob for each, and you can flick a switch and have two LFOs where there's one LFO for each. So it's kind of like two of these in a box,
Okay.
right? With some
What do
extra.
all those switches do?
Um, this one turns off the LFO, right?
Okay.
No, wait, never mind. This one makes the LFO half speed, so it makes it super slow. This one does, it
Okay.
turns the
That's cool.
LFO into like a square wave or a triangle wave. And then this one does like anti-phase. So when one is on, the other one's off. Instead of them both LFOs doing this, like they do this, right? And
Okay.
then this one right here um, turns on the vibrato mode. So vibrato mode, like this knob on the end, is like a mix, and it mixes the straight signal with the phase shifted signal, and that's the sound of the phase shifter. Okay, but if you took out the original signal, like a straight signal, if you remove that and you just heard the phase shift signal, then that's the vibrato sound. So if you turn this off, the volume here has to be all the way up or you don't hear anything, right? Because this just
Okay.
mixes in the amount of the phase shifted, right? And then the last one turns off the LFO, so it doesn't cycle, it's just fixed, but the signal still goes through the circuit. So it's kind of like it's kind of like it's just at a fixed amount of phase shift, but you can't adjust it. So it almost just sounds like the straight signal, but it just a little bit different, you know.
Okay. Do you like it?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And actually, the one more switch. This one turns on two LFOs because if you can have one LFO driving both of the stages, both phase shift sections, right? Or if you turn this on, it splits the LFO and you can run each section at a different rate. Yeah, it sounds okay.
Cool.
After building it and
Yeah,
trying
you don't
it, I feel
seem.
like it's overrated, to be honest.
Yeah, it seems like I don't know. It seems like you're more happy about the single knob, the Phase 45.
Yeah, this one sounds okay. I mean, I think I had this bug to make the mini pedal board, and so this was one of the pedals that I was going to use for that. It's okay. Yeah, for a small pedal. I for the sound, like phase shift sound, the one I like is this Maestro phase shifter, and it's like 5 stages. It has a switch. It can be 4 or 5 stages of phase shift, and it has or maybe it's 5 and 6. I forget, right? And it just has a couple knobs. It just has speed and depth, but the phase shift sound is really good.
Okay, and that's one of those? Well, it's one of those Gibson Maestro, not the newest ones, but um, it's like the black case with the kind of yellow and pink triangles or whatever.
Maybe. I'm not sure though. I just built mine DIY, so but I think the one
Hmm.
I built is based on the Maestro phase shifter. I'm pretty sure. But I don't know. I'm not familiar with that one. I've never had one, right?
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I don't. I have a phaser by a company called Azor, and it's got 3 knobs on it, so it's got a lot of control. But it doesn't have, like, I wish you could have the speed that it oscillates at,
Oh,
because it
have it?
seems
Like
like it's always go. Yeah,
make it twice as
yeah.
slow? Okay. Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I actually like the
So,
slow phase shift. Like when you get it down kind of
hmm,
slow enough, it's kind of nice.
yeah,
It's a good sound.
hmm, yeah. I don't know. I think that's probably the reason that I generally don't. I don't really use those kinds of effects like flanger and chorus, because a lot of times they're too wobbly, and the only thing you can really do is dial back the amount of the effect. Um, and
Hmm.
that's not really what I want. I still want that, the effect. I just want it to be slower.
Huh. You might be able to mod it. It depends on what's in there.
Well, it's also a mini pedal, so it might be difficult to mod.
Yeah,
But I could look
probably
at it. It was cheap.
probably all surface mount parts or something too, right? So it's hard to change, hard to modify those, you know. Build your
Right.
own, build your own.
Yeah, I need to know which one to build. I actually just bought a kit to make a delay. Um,
Oh,
but I'm afraid that I might not get it because I was looking at, well, I got it from Alibaba,
mhm.
and I was looking at who they've addressed it to, and it's like Ali user 0679 or whatever, and then they didn't use my apartment number, so I'm probably not going to get it. But it was only 26 bucks,
Shit,
so
you'll get it.
it's not the end of the world.
What kind is it? What's it called?
Um, I think it's just called analog delay pedal. uh,
Pedal. I'm gonna look up analog delay pedal kit.
Make your delay one analog pedal kit true bypass kits. That's all it says here. I don't remember what the web page was, but it was on
Mm,
Alibaba.
I'm just curious,
And
like what
I'd
kind of chip?
forgotten until today. Right? Yeah, yeah. I'm curious too. But it's it's like when you buy a kit like that, you're kind of taking a risk that you're going to actually like it after you do the work of building it.
Yeah,
Unless they tell you what it is. Like that kit that I bought for the Dallas Rangemaster, they tell you exactly what it is and what kind of options that you have. So that was cool. That was from that what are they called, the music, or yeah, devices or something like that. You know, the company. Um, I can't remember the name of it right now, but it has a very generic name, like musician or musical
oh,
devices company or something like that.
General Guitar Gadgets,
That's right, General Guitar Gadgets.
the GGG. Yeah, they're kind of the classic, you know, stomp box PCB seller kit people, you know? Yeah. Hey, speaking
Yeah,
of
yeah, I
which,
would buy it from them again.
yeah, yeah, they're pretty good. They have a good reputation. Hey, speaking of which, you know what I did is I got a few more circuit boards manufactured. So you got to start building stuff
Cool.
so I can give you some more circuit boards to build.
Yeah,
So
well, I got to buy some parts probably, but yeah, I'm down for that.
yeah, so these are this is a thing called the Crank. It's like a DIY project by Mark Hammer over at DIY Stomp Boxes, right? And it's kind of an overdrive that has kind of an interesting topology, you know. Um, I kind of set it up this way so that like I made this little notch in it. So like if it was inside the box, it would fit like this. And then you can see the power thing. I'll put it right over here and hopefully it fits, like it sticks in and doesn't bump into the board right there, right? So that was the idea. Um, but anyway, so I made that. And then this right here is I had a big stack of these, right? This thing is it's called the Smash Drive. And it's another DIY
Mm,
project by, I think it's by Aaron, the person that runs the DIY stomp boxes. And it's basically just a distortion built around this chip called the 386. It's just like
mm-hmm.
you just overdrive it and it just the chip by itself just sounds really good, you know. It's used in a lot of projects. And then what else did I build? Oh yeah, this I made a clone of the Timmy, which is maybe a little bit controversial because Timmy's like this overdrive that gets a lot of love on the internet. Like people really like it. It's kind of similar to a tube screamer, but different, you know, but kind of tube screamery, right? It's supposed to have a good reputation, kind of like the Klon.
Okay.
But the guy that makes it is kind of like it's just like a one guy thing, and he's just like, yeah, I make this, and like 40% of my family income is this pedal, you know. So it's kind of like cloning it is kind of like, you know, and making it publicly available is maybe, you know, has some ethical. questions you might have to answer. Though I don't feel so guilty because it's not like I'm making the pedals and selling them. I'm just making it available so people can make their own. But that said, I could see there'd be an argument against that. On the other side, I would say that um, that I would never buy the pedal. I would only make it. You know what I mean? So maybe the
Right.
circuit
I
board
mean,
for those people.
this the schematic is available, right? So like anybody could do, um, they can build the pedal themselves. You're
Yeah,
just making it a little easier for people.
yeah. There's kind of more controversy there too because the guy, like, I forget what company, some company cloned his pedal and they mass manufactured it, and I think that kind of bent him out of shape. And also, like, the DIY community was like kind of behind him. They were like, hey, that's really unfair, that you guys did this. They were kind of
Well,
against.
that's I agree with that.
Yeah, I forget who did it, but some company like mass manufactured the Timmy, but they called it something else, right?
Mm.
I think now, I forget, I think now MXR or Way Huge or somebody like that does it. Like, they bought the rights and they're producing it.
So that seems like you know, the right thing to do. Buy the rights if you're going to
Yeah,
make a, mass produce somebody's circuit.
yeah. What is this one? I have another one here. I'm trying to remember, like, what is this one?
Doesn't it say?
Maybe, no, it doesn't say. You know what? I forgot to put something on here. What is it? What is this pedal? But anyway, I have this other one here. Let me see. What are
How are
these?
you ever going to build it if you don't know what it is?
I don't know. What is this one? This one doesn't have a label either. It has abuse, sparkle, and volume. Oh, you know what? This is the crank, and this is a silicon tone bender.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is, right? I mixed the two up and then I forgot about the tone bender. And so that guy, like, somebody contacted me and had bought this silicon tone bender from me a long time ago, and they sent me an email like last month or a couple weeks ago saying, like, hey, I bought those pedals. What's in them? I really like them, but what's in them, And I was like, I don't remember. And he sent me some pictures, and then I figured out that was a silicon tone bender. And so then I was like, well, if people like that, maybe I'll make a circuit board for it. So, because the one I
The
did
one that you made
originally was
for
on
him was on
strip
a
board.
breadboard, right?
Yeah, it was on strip
Yeah,
board.
perfect board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is this harmonic tremolo from Stomp Boxology. I've built this before where I just made a circuit board myself at home, DIY, and it sounded really good. So I made some circuit boards for that. It's kind of cool. It's based on this Fender amp, and I think it's like a Fender Brown Face, or I don't know, I forget what model, but the tremolo in there actually works by splitting the signal into highs and lows, and then it mixes between it, like cross fades between the high and the low, right? And that's how the
Hmm.
tremolo
Okay,
works.
that's cool.
Yeah, and so it's got speed and depth, right? But it's kind of cool. It sounds very phase shifter. It sounds like super sweet, like it's like super sweet tremolo phase shift sound. Like, it's hard to describe. It's really good, you know. And then that last tremolo that I've made an updated board for it. So I'm going to test this one out. So last week I made this tremolo here. This one came from Stomp Boxology also. Um, but I made a couple, like a small mistake on here, and then I saw another improvement. So I kind of improved on it and made another version of this. You know, I should
Excellent.
pass this off to you guys and have you and Brendan test this one out to see what you think about it.
Yeah, I'd be all over it. I love tremolo. It's one of my favorite effects.
Yeah, this is pretty bog standard tremolo, but it's kind of cool in that the signal path from the input to the output is the audio path is all transistor. So there's no op amps or anything else in there. You know, it's just all transistors all the way across, right? So it's got kind of a
Okay.
cool sound to it, you know. And it has
Very
a
cool.
like a square or triangle wave switch, and then it has this shape knob that basically like in the middle it's like a triangle, but as you turn it down, it turns into a saw, and if you turn it up,
Hmm.
it turns into a ramp, you know. So
Yeah,
it's
we're looking at the Boss tremolo last week, right? And I think it has a shape knob or something like that, or wave knob.
yeah,
So it's probably similar to that.
yeah, probably, yeah. You know, that one I milled the box too, and I screwed up the naming. So I put the Dymo tape on there. Thank you very much. Right, but I milled the
Yeah.
names in there, but they're in the wrong location. You know, so I screwed up. But anyway, yes, I'm like inundated with circuit boards I gotta make.
Yeah, I know. I need to get making some circuits myself. I was thinking I might try to order some parts for that trem shifter because uh, that that's an effect that I'd really like to get some use out of.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great
And
sound.
it does seem like it's a bit of a complicated one, but the sooner I get started on it, the sooner I have it done.
Yeah, yeah. I'd almost like to redo that one. There's a couple things that I think would make that great. I actually, you know what I would say, to be honest, I think that that is better than this one. I almost like it better. This is unique in that it has the two LFOs and then the signal split like between high phase shift and low phase shift. So that's kind of a unique sound, but the overall like usage or like, you know, quality of use, I think the trem shifter is better, you know? Like I'd use that more
Yeah,
often.
I mean just like what it does on paper is something that I'm after. A tremolo with a filter. Um, and yeah, if anybody's watching this and they are curious about what it does, um, you can go to Dead Astronaut. What is it? Dead Astronaut Effects or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's who makes it, Dead Astronaut, and he has a good demo. It's kind of entertaining to watch
Yeah,
as well.
he plays pretty good
Um,
guitar. Like his demos
yeah,
are good.
yeah, and he makes those good demos with like found footage and um, wacky, wacky voiceovers and things like that.
Nice. Yes, I got a lot of projects, you know.
So
Maybe I'll hand some of these off to you if we meet up tomorrow. I'll give you some of these circuit boards. So you'll just be like buried in circuit boards.
okay, well maybe that's will get me to make some demos. You've got another pedal that you haven't mentioned yet. The that you've completed.
Oh, did I? What did I?
Yeah, the harmonic. What was it called? The harmonic.
Oh, the BBE Harmonic
Yeah,
Maximizer.
no, the sonic maximizer.
Sonic Maximizer, that's it. Yeah, yeah. You said harmonic, right? I have it right here.
Yeah.
Actually, it's plugged in right now. This is a weird thing. I just kind of bought it on a whim. I was buying some mini pedal. I had this idea to make a mini pedal board, and so I thought, like, well, I'll DIY a whole set of mini pedals. And so I just bought a bunch of stuff, and then I saw this. You know, I got these all from Mad Bean FX, right? And Mad Bean had a whole series of boards that were just for this size box, right? So I bought a bunch of those. I bought a like Big Muff and a Phase 45 and a few other things. And then I got this thing too, right? And this, like, I just got it on a whim. And it's kind of weird, like I see a lot of stuff online where people are like, man, this is our secret recording weapon. This is like, this is like so great. It's magic. And they say all these things about it. And then a couple other people are like, this thing doesn't do anything, right? Like I've read other people are like, this is totally useless, right? And so I was playing around with it. This is kind of like a DIY project that someone made where they basically took the harmonic or sonic maximizer circuit and then they refactored it for a guitar pedal. So usually
That's right, because it's a rack mount
usually the sonic
thing.
maximizers you see is it's a 19-inch rack unit, right? And it usually has two channels too, so it's like two of these, right? And it usually only has two knobs. One of them is center frequency, I think, and the other one is process. And then this one has an extra
Okay.
knob because it has volume control. So that's good for guitar pedals, right? But I think on the originals, they just have two knobs for each channel. So there's four knobs total, right? Maybe they have some other control for something else too, but this one just has the process, the center, and the volume. And it's hard to say what this does. I hear a difference, and it does sound. The sound does sound pretty good, It doesn't sound drastic, you know. Does it do more than another pedal? I don't know about that. People have said also that you can put it before your distortion or put it after. You know,
I'd definitely be interested in hearing it with distortion. Uh, and I think that if you can hear the difference and you think it sounds good, then it's doing something. Um,
and
I
maybe
think it's like you said, it can be difficult to describe what something that you hear, what it is, what the effect is doing to sound. Um, yeah, sound can be difficult to describe, but I think when you said that it made your electric guitar sound a little bit like an acoustic guitar, that seems meaningful to me. That's kind of what I was listening for.
yeah, yeah, it does. Like that's the kind of the way I would describe it. Like when I turned it on, and played with the controls, it kind of gave the guitar like a little more like of an acoustic quality to the sound. It did
Hmm.
sure make the treble and bass kind of jump out as you adjust the controls, you know, a little more clearly. That's what people have said. Like I saw one article or maybe it was a video where a guy was saying that, we use this in the studio on Joe Satriani's Surfing with the Alien album and it was our secret weapon, like, and they said it just made the bass sound really tight. Other people have said it doesn't do anything. I saw another video where a guy was just raving about it and he was like, yeah, see, I send my whole band through. He had the rack mounted unit. So he's just like, here's the whole recording and I just send the whole mix through the Sonic Maximizer.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm really curious to hear it live. Um, it's it seems like if I could hear the difference over a Zoom call, that the the effect must be more pronounced when you're in person with it.
Maybe, yeah.
It
I don't
just
know.
brought some richness to it, I think. Over it's sort of like you're mixing in a middle pickup or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. You know what they say is they say that like there's something about this where like and I don't quite get how this works because when I think about it, it doesn't quite make sense to me. But the way they described it is they said like when your speaker reproduces a sound, there's some like you know errors or not like it's not reproducing the audio perfectly because of the way the cone moves back and forth, and you can imagine that if the cone is moving back and forth, if there's just a single pure tone like a sine wave, it's probably going to work really well. But if you have sound that has multiple frequencies going on at the same time, like maybe the cone is not quite reproducing those exactly right.
Hmm.
And then the way they describe it is they say the way they fix it is they make the treble come out a little bit before the bass. So it's something about phase discrepancy between the high frequencies and the low frequencies. And if you shift the phase of them, then like all of a sudden things kind of come into focus maybe, or the bass is a little more crisp. It's not so smeared or blurry.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
That's
interesting.
that's what they say, and it doesn't. That does sound kind of like mojo, like magic, like ooh, phase discrepancy, right? And then if you had a high frequency, and the phase was off with the bass, but the bass is actually like a longer thing. Like, you know, like when does something come out before or after the waveform? You get what I'm saying? Like, you know, because there's like a, if there's a hump here and then another hump here, is this one before or after? Because there's a little frequency in front of it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I would imagine though that if you, recorded um, recorded a guitar into um, your DAW with the Sonic Maximizer, and then you recorded the same guitar part without it, that you would see the difference in the wave.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know if I could tell, you know, but maybe
Well, a computer would be able to
that could
tell.
be an experiment.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, I just built it and it sounded okay. So I thought like, actually this sounds better. And just, it could be just a boost, you know? So like it worst came to worst, you could just use it as a boost or a buffer. You could put it at
Mm,
the beginning or the end of your chain, you know?
right. Well, so it does something,
It does, yeah.
and you like the sound of it. I think that's all the justification you need.
Yeah, right. You know, but maybe I'll play with it for a bit and then I'll pass it off to you and Brendan and you guys can try it out and see what you think of it, you know?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. And who do you get those from?
Oh, I got that from Mad Bean Pedals.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, that's what you said.
Yeah. I only bought one of those though. I usually buy two, but that was like kind of such a weird thing. I wasn't really looking for it. And then I was like, well, I'll just buy one of these and try it
Yeah.
out, you know?
Well, if I decide I need one, I can go to Mad Bean and get one.
Yeah, get your own. Yeah. You know, we could maybe clone it, you know, because he has the schematic online to make our own circuit boards, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to get into that at some point.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's a good way to keep your mind off politics, right? I'm trying to
Yeah.
put together another video like where I'm building a pedal, but I got kind of stumped because my desk is just covered in crap. I gotta clean everything off and then get to the mill and record that part, you know?
Yeah. It's really difficult to avoid adding new projects to your workbench
Yeah, yeah,
without finishing one thing first.
I'm behind. I gotta really have a list or I start to forget all the projects. You know, if you start a project and then you start ordering some parts and then
Mm-hmm.
you wait 2 weeks and then 2 weeks later you're like, what did I order these parts for? Like what was I working on, you know?
Yeah, I know. I try to keep all my guitar projects in separate boxes, but I'm not always good at that. Sometimes you know, I have to look in every box to find, the bridge or pickups for a given project.
Yeah. Yeah, I sold one of these on Reverb and the guy he sent me a message saying like, "Hey, is that a true clone of the doppelganger?" Like he said true clone. And I was like, "Oh man, he really wants a doppelganger clone." I just sent him the link to the description of the site where they sell the board for this, you know? And and I said it's one of these, you know, so it's not exactly the same, but it's based on a doppelganger, and you know, it has the basic signal path that the doppelganger had, you know. And then he bought the pedal, but then I'm a little worried because I feel like the doppelganger is maybe overrated because this has some good settings, but then there's some other settings that aren't quite good. So either the doppelganger does something this doesn't do, or if this is, you know, pretty close to the doppelganger, that the doppelganger maybe wasn't that great. It's just hard to get because the doppelganger is basically is the same circuit, you know. And so I'm willing to bet it sounds the same as this, but it also has there's some settings on here that don't quite sound good, you know, or they're not like, you know what I mean? Like for example, if you turn the vibrato mode on and then you turn the blend knob down, it doesn't make any sound, right? And then if you turn the LFO off with this knob here, you're just hearing the signal going through the phase shift without any phase shift, without any shifting, right?
Hmm.
And that doesn't really sound like anything, right? So people were saying that like, they're like, oh, that's mode is in there because it adds a little sheen, and people like to use that sheen in the studio. But it doesn't really sound like anything. So I could see someone getting this and then saying like, "Wow, I was expecting like all this amazement," and it's actually, it's good, but it's not great.
Yeah, well, I think most pedals um, have like there's a way to have set it up so the settings basically just give you your original sound. It's like you need to know how to use your pedals.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Hopefully the guy he'll be happy with it.
Yeah, yeah.
I had another one of these, and like when I was like unimpressed with it, I just gave that one away. I have my friend Joe. We used to play music in high school, and he lives up in Washington now, and he doesn't have any money ever, right? He's always working these kind of dead end jobs, right? And so like I thought like I might as well gift him some music gear, right?
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, right. I forgot his birthday, so I probably forgot him at Christmas too, trying to make up for all those times, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you got everyone a Christmas present that um, you go broke.
Yeah, you know. So anyway, see, I'm working on that. I got to start this week's song.
Oh yeah,
Got
um,
to get started early.
yeah. I don't know if it's gonna be this week's song, but I did start right after I finished last week's song. I started a new song because I was kind of vibing off of the GarageBand synths, and I just wanted to try out some different sounds, so I just started playing around with that. Um, but I don't know. I'm not sure I'm going to go all house music from here on out. I think I'll think about it, see what else comes out of the pipe.
Uh, I kind of have this like kind of not super jazzy, but kind of jazz kind of thing I want to do. I'm just saying it's jazz because it's like I used a bunch of major seven chords, right?
Mm-hmm.
So but it's kind of like light rock, easy rock, kind of the Quiet Storm.
Yeah.
Like you remember that radio station?
No.
Soft and warm, the Quiet Storm, KBLX.
KBLX. Is that a San Francisco radio station?
Yeah, it was like one that was around here. I guess there's a bunch of radio stations that aren't around anymore, so maybe you didn't hear them, but I heard them like growing up.
Yeah, I missed out. But yeah, I don't know. I think like the jazz vibe can be a good thing. To maybe refrain from going full jazz, but to put a little jazz vibe into your rock song. I think that's kind of cool. I was kind of playing around with some jazzy chords today, and I thought along the same lines, like maybe I could do something that was not like a full jazz progression. Just uses one of those chords in a way that sort of creates this atmosphere. It's kind of a little bit more ambiguous.
Yeah. I'm thinking like the guitar will just be kind of strummy, right?
Hmm.
Right. But then I was like, okay, I gotta have another part. So I'm thinking like synth part, but maybe I could get some sound out of it with the arpeggiator or something like that.
Right?
So I don't know. That's going to be my experiment. We'll see. I had this other weird idea because I got lyrics too,
Oh yeah.
and
Okay.
so then I was like wondering. I wonder if I could go find somebody on Fiverr and say, "Hey, dude, sing my song. I need you to sing this song."
I think that's a great idea. Um, I
Wouldn't
also
it-
thought we should talk about like singing for non-singers. Like
Yeah,
if you if you if you have an idea about like what like um, what you want your vocals to sound like, maybe throw that out and go back to how your voice sounds and kind of embrace that. Like how your voice sounds, what you can do. Like if I wanted to sing like like Al Jorgensen or something like that, I just have to let go of that idea. I can't do it.
can't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah. Or
Don't do
how
it.
about I can't sing like Mark Almond or Scott Walker or like I I have to choose a voice that's that's attainable, and then kind of just be happy with that.
Is Dan on Fiverr?
He should be.
I could hire Dan,
Yeah,
get Dan to sing my song, you know?
yeah. Well, Dan's always finding crazy odd jobs, so yeah, maybe he'll do it.
Okay. That's gonna be my secret weapon next week.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, you might be upping the ante. I might have to get some vocals on a track as well.
Oh yeah, you know. So that's my goal is I got this little song snippet and some lyrics that go with it. So then I was like, God, if I could just get that down and maybe it'll be kind of this easy rock kind of jazz rock thing. I don't know what to call it, you know. It'll just be kind of light, you know, maybe kind of
Mm-hmm.
indie, you know. I don't know what the sound will be, but hopefully if I get started on it early, maybe it'll actually get done. So
Right. Yeah. I think um, that's a solid plan. It always stands better chance of getting done if you start early, because then you have some time to think about the song during the week when you're
yeah,
under the gun.
yeah. You know, I sold one of these like life pedals, and then the guy, it turned out he like lived down the street from me. So I just walked over and I met him, you know, and we handed off. And then he contacted me, so he was having trouble with the pedal. So I was like, oh, just bring it by and I'll fix it, right? And I think the switch was bad. So
Hmm.
I replaced the switch and then I was tinkering around with it. And it kind of made all this noise when you turn on the octave, right?
Hmm. Okay.
And you know what I found was like it's kind of weird. Like you if in the situation is extreme, like if you turn the gain all the way up and then turn the volume all the way up and you turn on the rat, okay, you hear like noise, but it sounds like your amp is on full high gain and the gain is all the way up and the volume's all, it sounds like the gain and the volume up are all the way up on your amp, that high gain sound,
Yeah.
right? It's just kind of sitting there just waiting to go,
Hmm.
right? But the weird thing is if you turn the octave on, even if you're not playing, all of a sudden that sound turns into this wind tunnel. It's like,
Oh,
right?
that's crazy.
Yeah, and you know what I did is I found this little capacitor right here. Like it helps. Like so, if you increase that, it kind of cuts out on some of the wind tunnel sound, right? But I couldn't eliminate it entirely unless I made this capacitor big enough where it affected the overall tone of the pedal. And so that works if you kind of like a darker tone, but maybe there's kind of like you want a smaller value if you want some more highs, but then
Hmm.
you have to kind of balance that against the wind tunnel sound when the octave is on, or you just don't have the volume and the gain all the way up all the time.
Right. Yeah. I guess that could be one of those things where you just have to it's kind of like the other pedal that we were talking about, like just dialing it in so that it doesn't sound crappy, or that it doesn't sound like nothing is happening. Um, this is the opposite, where you're trying to dial it in so it sounds like something bad isn't happening.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I don't know. I was tinkering around with this one. I had another one of these pedals that wasn't as noisy, so I just gave the guy that pedal, and then I tinkered with this one. And Brendan wanted to try this out too, so I'm gonna give Brendan one of these to try out. You know, I still have I still have three left,
Wow.
so
Okay.
I'm gonna keep one. So I have two. So if Brendan wants that one, maybe we can trade or find some swap or something, right? And you can have one of those.
Yeah.
I think this thing sounds all right. I used it on my track this week. So
Oh, you did?
yeah, the rhythm guitar is using the rat channel like in the germanium diode setting.
Okay. So you had two guitars on yours.
Well, I had like five guitars. So I had
Oh.
four guitars doing the rhythm part and then one kind of lead guitar thing.
Okay.
But the four tracks are all playing the same thing, but like I just recorded them differently.
Okay. Yeah, I had two tracks of guitar on mine, and I just kept it to that. But yeah, maybe
So
I'll try your approach some one of these days.
Well, for the fuzzy distorted guitars, it sounds good like when you have a couple things just doing the same thing. Like you know what I did is I the pedal has like a little knob here that sets the clipping, like what kind of clipping. And one of the settings is just the op amp clipping. One of them's like some germanium diode, or no, some, yeah, one of them's germanium diodes, one of them's like silicone diodes, and then another one's like some silicone diodes and an LED. So they're kind of like asymmetrical,
Okay.
unequal, right? So what I did is I recorded, they do sound different but almost the same. So what I did is I recorded like 4 guitars, and I just changed the diode clipping setting and adjusted the tone a little bit, and then mixed them together.
Okay. Cool. Well, yeah. I mean, you've been experimenting with that approach for a while, like using different pickups for different tracks and things like that. Um,
Yeah.
it seems like a pretty good idea,
Yeah, I'm just experimenting. I'm just learning, like I don't really have a lot of experience. So you got to try things and hear what they sound like.
right?
Yeah. So did you listen to any music this week?
I did. I listened to I listened to this band called And Also the Trees, which I found on Bandcamp. They had, there was an article about them and how they were kind of like a forgotten or like a overlooked goth band that Lowell Tolhorst of The Cure produced them, and Robert Smith mixed some of their songs, and they've been active from sometime in the early '80s to now. So I listened to a couple albums of theirs. They're very Cure influenced. They sound quite a bit like the Cure, without the voice. But
Like, what were they called again? What was the name?
and also the Trees. I also listened to Dave Vanian from The Damned, and his album. Oh, it's called actually his band is called Dave Vanian the Phantom Chords, and yeah, you can see I was kind of on a theme.
Nice.
How
Good.
about you?
I'm gonna check these guys out.
Yeah, yeah. Dave Vanian has a very you know um, uh, kind of telltale voice. The big voice of the Damned.
Nice.
So, what did you listen to this week?
Oh, I listened to Dungeon Weed.
Dungeon Weed.
Yeah. They're they describe their genre as wizard psych doom.
I would have predicted that.
Yeah, and then they had an album that was like it was what was it? It was like shoot, I can't remember the name. It was like something about the icosahedron. So the icosahedron is the 20-sided figure, the 20-sided die.
Okay.
Let me look it up again. What it was like.
Speaking of gaming dice, I was reading an article. It was an interview with the guy from the OCs, and the dice or the knobs on his guitar are 10-sided dice. What is
Nice.
that guy's name? John. I can't remember his name, but y'all know who that is. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, OCs are pretty good. Who's that other guy in the band? He has another band called Fuzz.
I don't know. There's another guy in that band.
I'm trying to think of the guy's name.
I like the artwork for Dungeon Weed.
Yeah, they're very funny.
Yeah, it's very like day glow.
Yeah. Well, they're from Oakland too.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing I listened to Spoon, right?
Right.
And they had an album, Gimme Fiction. And it was kind of amazing. I'd never heard them before. And then I was like, wow, these guys were kind of amazing.
Okay, yeah, I had heard them. I think sometime within the last decade. Um, yeah, don't remember how I got introduced to them, but yeah, I was aware of them.
Yeah, so they were pretty good. I like they just great music, and then it had like good lyrics, like the lyrics were interesting. I kind of like that stuff. Like it when when the lyrics are good.
Hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, um, that singer definitely seems like he's not just a guy in the band who could sing. He's seems like kind of a front man. He's got the voice and the X factor or whatever. He's definitely a front man. John Dwyer is the name of the guy from the OCs. You saying he's in another band?
Maybe I'm thinking of someone else actually. I'm trying to figure it out right now. Oh, I was thinking of Ty Segall.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that you know they're related in a way because they both are from the Bay Area and performed at the chapel a lot. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised that well, actually, I wasn't surprised that Dungeon Weed was from Oakland, but I was just surprised that they weren't from Portland.
hmm.
Take that, Portland.
Yeah,
You know,
or Sacramento actually. Sacramento seems to have like a big like kind of doom and also kind of like dark wave. I think
oh,
what's her name? I'm drawing a blank, but there's a kind of like a gothy singer, and I don't mean any disrespect by that, but I like her sound quite a bit, and she's from Sacramento.
nice. Yeah, I feel like Sacramento is probably a better place if you're going to start your rock band because it's probably cheaper to live in, and you can places to practice maybe.
Yeah, there's nothing to do there besides play music,
Yeah, besides rock. You
right?
know? Yeah. Hey, should we call it? We
Yeah,
cover.
I think we've probably been doing this for like a couple hours. I don't know.
Yeah, we've been here for years.
Yeah,
Cobwebs are growing.
yeah, we'll be the Keith Richards of the podcast world.
Hopefully, right?
Yeah.
Who's our Chuck Berry?
Um, I don't know. Maybe it's you.
Yeah, just don't punch me in the face, okay? I won't punch you in the face.
Okay, okay, that's
Promise.
fair. All right. Well, thanks for joining us on this episode of the Make Guitar Podcast Show. We'll see you in the next one. Keep your songwriting up and yeah, keep on rocking.